Got a question for you. Did you run your numbers? If you haven't, then I highly suggest you do, because math doesn't lie. People do, but math doesn't. It's an absolute. And seeing with your own eyes is believing. You know, that's what happened to Dom and Jen. They're a married couple that saw this same presentation, and they had a mortgage with a low interest rate, but after understanding the problem with interest volume, they wanted to know if they could capture a lot of that for their family. So when we offered to do a free financial freedom planning session with them, they jumped at it because they wanted to retire at 65, but they were uncertain about actually being able to. Now, I want you to notice that this is their actual amortization schedule from the bank. The first payment in 2015, the interest was $1,084. And when you tack on the principal, the total for the payment is $1,579. The interest rate is 3.87. So when you divide the interest of $1,084 by the P&I of $1,579, that equals 68%, not 3.87%. So that means for every dollar going to the mortgage company, 68 cents is going directly to their bottom line. Dom and Jen took the time and they verified their numbers with the Wealth Transfer Challenge calculator so they could see it for themselves. And I'm suggesting that you do the exact same thing with your mortgage. You're going to find out it won't be until the last couple of years that you actually get down to the interest rate that you think you're paying in the beginning. Damon's a general contractor. Jen's a principal. They had a Zoom meeting with us a couple of days later. We dug into their numbers. And what you're looking at right here is a quick snapshot of all of their wealth transfers, all of their liabilities, all of their debts that our proprietary system illustrates. So they could see the truth about their entire situation, not just their mortgage. And what we discovered is that their reality was they were going to be transferring their wealth for 25 years to their credit cards, auto loans, student loans, and home mortgage. But the disturbing part was the interest volume. In this case, it was 50%, $209,000. So this means that every dollar that Dom and Jen bring home after paying income taxes to service their debt every single month, 50 cents is going to the bottom line of the banks and finance companies. You need to understand very clearly that it's not the annual interest rate that's a problem. It's the interest volume. And they started to realize that every dollar that they bring in is instantly diminished in value by its need to contribute to servicing interest volume. This is the number that the banks and financial institutions are desperately hoping that you don't figure out, because this is how they keep us all enslaved. And the banks know that if they can keep you in the dark about this number, it's going to become perpetual and you'll be enslaved your entire life. And that the majority of your wealth will be transferred to them, all by design. So all we did is we put a plan together and optimized their capital with our proprietary Freedom Accelerator software, which generates this new plan that you're looking at right here. And we leverage a common financial vehicle used by the wealthy. And we put a stop to their wealth transfers in 10 years. Plus, we helped them put $95,000 back into their pocket. Now, the best part is we freed up 1.5 decades for them to accumulate wealth for their family, because now they own their cash flow, meaning all their liabilities that you see here on this list, they're gone. At age 70, with the plan that we built for them, they'd have $233,000 in a tax-favored environment, $408,000 in new potential wealth accumulation because they own their cash flow, and it would have cost them $737,000 by not implementing this new plan if they just continued to follow mainstream personal finance. Now, after going through this process, you know what? Dom and Jen, they had an epiphany and realized that owing less money is the exact same thing as making more money, and it's a necessary precondition for building wealth in retirement. If you've had the same epiphany, I suggest that you don't catalog this information for a later date. Contact the consultant that opened your mind to the painful problem and have them walk you through our proprietary process. What you'll learn is far superior and it's less risky, giving you more predictability of the outcome that you want. You're going to learn the habits of the wealthy so you can live a life of impact. You'll learn how to control your cash flow so you never have to dip into your future income potential and borrow money today against your future earnings, which is risky, as so many Americans have discovered during the coronavirus. So you can finally bypass the banks and other financial institutions. One last thing. Share this page with anyone you care about because they deserve to know the truth. We appreciate your time and attention, and we look forward to serving you very soon.